Welcome to Java programming. In this session, we will be dealing with the overloading of constructors and methods. So here we have a class called add numbers. I've got a variable called sum, which finds the sum of two numbers. So I have one uh, function here or method, which is also a constructor. As you see, add numbers, but nothing is passed. It says there is no parameters and sum is equalized to 0 or is assigned 0 to sum. I've got again add numbers, one more method, a constructor, which has two parameters passed, a and b, which are integers. I find the sum of those integers and then display the content of the sum of those numbers. I've got one more add numbers, but in this case a and b are double floating numbers. I find the sum of those and then display the content of these two numbers. So let us see what happens. So here I'm calling this class here to test overloading methods demo 2, and then I call the first create P as the object for add numbers, Q for object for add numbers with two parameters, R for add numbers with the two parameters which are floating numbers, and here I print the content of that. So after executing the program and then running the program, we get it as here. The sum of these two is 11. Then sum, first one is no parameters, P sum. Second one is sum of 4 and 7 is 11. Sum of 12 and 15 is 20. So this is going to be printed. So sum is equal to 0. Sum is equal to, in the first case, sum is equal to 11 and sum is equal to 28. I rounded it to integer. So here it gave the sum as the sum of these two floating numbers. We'll take one more example of multiplication. Again, multiply. So this is the constructor with no arguments. So I assign 0 to result. Then I multiply L into B, two integers. I find the result. After multiplying, this result will contain the product of these two L and B. And now I have got three parameters, L, B and H. So the result will contain the product of L, B and H here. So this is how. So variable to store the result of multiplication. As you see, all these are constructors with no parameters, with two parameters and with three parameters. Let us see the execution of that. So I've got one more class to test this program. So multiply. So I'm creating AR, that is an object to multiply, and then I've got three variables here, assign 8 to x and 5 to y. So I call this multiply xy. So immediately multiplies these two numbers and displays the result. Then I am assigning 2 to z and 462 for xyz. I call the same AR multiply with three parameters and I get the result here. So this is the result of that, compiling and then testing here. So sum of 8 and 5 is 8 into 5 is not sum, it is product. It should be 40, and product of 4, 6 and 2 is equal to 48. So this is the result, and we have learned how we can overload the constructors with no argument, with two parameters or three parameters or more than three parameters. There is one more here, method overloading if the order of the parameter is changed. As you see here, I am writing this method here. So with the string name and integer ID and display ID and name. Here I have interchanged ID and string name. So there are in different order. Again, it is going to print ID and name. So I call this we make a method demo for this. Then create an object using that class, and then I say Denzil 101 ID, and here ID and Pritish is given. Let us see what happens. As you see here, so compiling, execution, so both of them, though here as you see in the second place I've given 102 and the name, so it is going to print ID and the name. This is because I have created two methods here with the extra parameters being changed. The order of the parameters being changed. A string comes first, ID comes later. ID comes first, string comes later. Therefore, here when you pass these parameters, it will select the first method, and when you pass ID and parameter, it selects the second method. So this way we have method overloading with the order of the parameters when the order of the parameters is changed. Thank you.